Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. We are so excited that you are here. We have recently, in a bipartisan effort, introduced legislation to create the Minnesota Disabilities Act, which will enshrine reasonable accommodations and Section 504 protections into Minnesota's human rights law. People with disabilities are a vital part of our communities, our schools, our neighborhoods, our employment, and everywhere. And they deserve to have reasonable accommodations be not only recognized, but enshrined into our law and protected no matter what happens. We are sending a powerful message to Minnesotans with disabilities today that we see each other in this space, we believe in each other in this space, and we are committed to protecting our civil rights as a state. With me today are advocates from across the disability spectrum and strong legislative advocates with us as well. I would like to introduce my co-sponsor, Danny Nadeau, who I am proud to be in this work in the House with.
Thank you, Representative Hicks, and thank you all for being here. And this is, people living with disabilities is not, it's not political and it's not partisan. And I'm so proud to stand here with my friends to talk about how we can move an agenda forward that's going to serve all people equally and fairly and reasonably, and make sure that, if you participate in the process in Minnesota, you deserve to be able to work and play and participate in local government in a way that's accommodating, and we welcome people into this environment. So thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Hope Hoffman. I could stand up here and give you some inspirational story in order to try to get you to care about my civil rights, but I really don't feel like doing that because it really only perpetuates what's part of the problem here. We as a society only care about people with disabilities when they are consumable, meaning I give you a pity story for you to feel better about your own life without you having to take any action to defend mine. This legislation by Representative Kim Hicks here is prompted by a lawsuit, Texas v. Becerra, which is 17 state attorney generals who are suing to roll back Section 504 altogether. They also stated in a joint status report that a part of their perceived unconstitutional application is most integrated setting and also at risk for institutionalization, which are two components that came out of the Supreme Court Olmstead decision of 1999, mandating that people with disabilities have the right to live within the community and access services in the least restrictive setting, which is outside of institutions. And Section 504 simply enforces this Supreme Court decision. I've been thinking a lot today about my late friend and fierce Minnesotan advocate, Rick Cardenas, who spearheaded Remembering with Dignity. He marked over 13,000 unmarked graves of people with disabilities who died in former Minnesota state institutions. And those are 13 lives that their stories will never be told, and no one ever cared. Minnesota cannot go back to that, and this legislation ensures that we won't.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Dively. I'm the Executive Director for the Minnesota Council on Disability, a nonpartisan state agency that does policy, advocacy, and training to the state government on and with folks with disabilities. And at a time when across the country we're seeing numerous things that are giving folks with disabilities pause and concern throughout Minnesota, potential rights being brought back or funding being changed, Minnesota's going in a different direction. And we're reaffirming our commitment to disability rights in a way, as was said earlier, that's nonpartisan. In Minnesota, we have a rich history of nonpartisan, bipartisan disability work, and I'm so excited to see that continue with the Minnesotans with Disabilities Act, and appreciate the authors for their work and contributions.
I represent Senate District 56. I am so honored to be in this room and with all these advocates. And if you're holding a camera, I ask that you pan to all of them to see what it looks like in Minnesota when we all come together to fight for something that is important. We know that right now people with disabilities across the country and in Minnesota are scared. that they will be attacked, diminished, cast aside, and not included in the society that they deserve to belong in. They are part of our state. They are part of our communities. And the efforts to exclude and roll back the funding that allows them to live independently and with dignity is wrong. And that's why we're doing this work here today. I also want to say, too, that I invite folks to come to the Human Services Committee in the Senate or in the House, where we have these conversations, where folks come and testify, where we talk about law and policy. It is the most interesting committee. It is the most important work we do at the legislature. And I'm not just saying that because Hope's dad is the chair of the committee I sit on. But because we're not fighting, because we're not, getting into heated battles, people don't think it's interesting, and it is. It absolutely is. And I'm just really, really proud to carry this bill in the Senate. I'm so, so honored to be standing among these incredible advocates, because a lot of what we do as legislators comes from the advocates you see here. They have the lived experience, they have the real world knowledge, they have the insight into statute to say, here's what needs fixing. Oftentimes, we're just the folks who carry it across the finish line. So I'm really excited to carry this part across the finish line in the Senate. Thank you.
If there are any questions, we'd be happy to take those.
So everybody's just a huge fan. I love that. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you all for your support, and we really look forward to committee hearings and bipartisan support to get this legislation both to the House floor and the Senate floor. Thank you.
Thank you.